Hey everybody, welcome back to Barter Hordes. My name is Robert. My second tag for the day, I'm actually going to do an original tag. I've noticed a bunch of new tags cropping up on BookTube recently, and I've been thinking about this one for a little while. And I'm going to throw it out there and see if anybody else is interested in this. And it's the classical music tag. It's going to be a little different from some tags in the sense that I'm not giving you a series of prompts to answer or questions to answer. Instead, the point of this tag is to pick a piece of classical music that you like, and it can be virtually anything. I happen to choose a symphony. You could choose a concerto, a sonata, anything you want, anything that appeals to you, and then link it to books somehow, link it to literature. And so there are a couple ways you can do this. For the symphony that I chose, for example, there are 4 movements, and there are different directions to the composer, or to the conductor and to the orchestra in Italian about how each movement should feel in terms of tempo and so on. And I've used those 4 sets of directions as kind of keys to books that also fit what I think are similar. You can do it that way. You can do it where you just listen to the piece of music and include whatever books it makes you think of, whether there's any direct relation between them or not. It's a link that you make just by listening. Or you can do a combination of that. In fact, I probably did a combination of that for my choices. So to start us off, the work that I chose is the first symphony that I ever fell in love with when I was probably about 11 years old. My father had an old vinyl recording of the New York Philharmonic playing Tchaikovsky's 4th Symphony. And I just loved the opening with the French horns, and I just loved the ending. It's so powerful. And it stuck with me. I don't have that recording any longer. I don't think it's available anywhere. I have included a link to a recording in the description box. It's not my favorite recording. My favorite recording is one from the early 80s by the Chicago Symphony with Sir George Solti, but it's not available on iTunes anymore, and so I couldn't link to it. So I chose an alternative. But you'll get the idea. And so the first movement of this is marked Andante, sostenuto, moderato, con anima, which loosely translates to a sustained walking speed, a moderate speed with spirit. This is also by far the longest of the 4 movements in this symphony. It's almost half the total playing time in Tchaikovsky's 4th. And it makes me think of a long journey, and it's full of aching and longing. And I can't think of anything better than Homer's The Odyssey for this. It's long, it's an extended journey, it's aching as Odysseus is trying to get home after all his different adventures. And I just see this as a wonderful link in terms of spirit, in terms of pace and energy, and in terms of the themes of the book. The second movement is a little bit slower. It's marked Andantino in modo di canzona, so slightly slower than walking pace and in the mode of a song. And in the Tchaikovsky, it starts off with this gorgeous melody in the oboes, and that melody comes back again at the end, and it's very slow and beautiful. And it made me think a little bit of Anne Patchett's novel Bel Canto, which was the first book I read by Anne Patchett and made me fall in love with her writing style. It's been out for a long time. I forget what year it came out. But it's the story of an opera singer who is in an unnamed South American country to sing at the president's birthday party. And during this party, which the president doesn't even attend, he stayed home to do something else. Oh, to watch his favorite soap opera, I think, if I'm remembering that correctly. During this party, a group of terrorists break in to capture the president. Of course, he's not there. So you've got this sitting around during this standoff. Nothing really happens, but it's the interplay between all these different characters and the beautiful music of this soprano singing that made me think of this song-like quality. Okay, the third movement goes very quickly. It's, I think, the shortest of the 4 movements, and it's marked, let me get my notes here. It's a scherzo, and it's marked Pizzicato, Ostinato, Allegro. In other words, it's persistent plucking of the strings at a very fast tempo. But a scherzo is something that's almost like a joke or humorous or lighthearted. And so the first thing that came to mind when I was thinking about the books that I've read is one of the funniest American novels of all time, and that's Joseph Heller's Catch-22. It's a series of sustained jokes, and it's fast-paced. Even though it's a long novel, everything seems to be going at this breakneck pace, trying to figure out what insane action is going to happen next to these characters. So that's what I came up with for the third movement. And then the fourth movement is the finale, and it's marked Allegro con fuoco, so fast with fire. This one I had a little bit more trouble with because the book that comes to mind for me with this one is Thomas Hardy's Tess of the D'Urbervilles. And the problem I have with that is this movement has some sections in minor keys, but it seems to end a little bit more triumphantly than Tess does. Ends on a very dark note. But it's that energy moving between places, the constant twists and turns as things happen to Tess and change her fortunes that made me think of this. I also thought a little bit of Wuthering Heights, but it's been so long since I've read it, I didn't really think I could make the tie very clearly in this particular tag. So I went with Thomas Hardy's Tess of the D'Urbervilles. Okay, so there you have it, the classical music tag. Pick a piece of classical music that you like, link it to some literature somehow, and just explain to us the thinking process that went into it. I'm going to tag 3 people because I have evidence that they like classical music. I'm sure there are more than just the 3 of us, and so I'm hoping everybody who likes classical music will try this tag out. And please let me know in the comments if you do, so I can be sure to watch your version of the tag. And the 3 that I'm going to tag are Leah of Hide and Seek, Jen of Insert Literary Pun Here. She did a video not too terribly long ago entirely about one song. And then also a Swedish booktuber, Natalie at We Need Honey, just hauled a book about conductors and how they work, and we had a brief conversation where she mentioned how much she loves classical music. So if those 3 people are interested in doing this, I'd love to see their responses. I'll talk to you again very soon. Bye.